Libby, I actually want to start with what we heard from the president in a diner in Iowa a little while ago, starting with the U.S. dollar. He said that he is not concerned with the decline that we've seen in the dollar so far, saying it's doing great, also calling out Japan, China for allegedly devaluing their currencies. I just want to hear your thoughts on what the state of the U.S. strong dollar policy is. Does it still exist?
Yes, well, nice to be with you. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Do we think it still exists? I mean, Secretary Bessent has talked about the strong dollar policy. President Trump, early on in the administration, talked about tariffing countries that he thought might be selling the dollar in order to weaken the dollar. So I think that this needs to be sort of put into context. Of course, the dollar has declined. Last year it's declined over the last few weeks, starting in 2026, but it's still relatively strong. If you look at sort of, from a historical perspective, obviously a lot of our clients still have a big U.S. dollar asset overweight, and our folks, diversifying away from that kind of incrementally, sure. But is this like a big referendum against the dollar? We don't think so.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you think about where the Bloomberg Dollar Index is right now. It's at its lowest level since 2022. You take it out on a 10-year average. It is sitting just below its 10-year average, but pretty dang close. You mentioned, some of the dollar positions that your clients have. There is the concern that, you have Trump making these comments about the dollar and basically putting a green stamp when it comes to the sell America trade. I mean, where are you thinking when it comes to whether or not that actually has legs?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's the reality, which is that the U.S. Treasuries market is the deepest, most liquid bond market in the world. The U.S. economy is the most dynamic and I think arguably most innovative economy in the world. So yeah, I think there is a sort of a limit from an economic perspective to the sort of sell America trade. But obviously politics, in some ways, the political tail is wagging the kind of the economic dog, at least temporarily, where folks are kind of making decisions out of kind of economic nationalism or kind of political motivation. So again, I think we have a more nuanced view. Our view is that the dollar still remains dominant, still remains the so-called reserve currency, but also that there are plenty of opportunities outside of the U.S., both in developed markets, but then also in high quality emerging market, both FX and the rates market. So again, we have a more nuanced view.